So a lot of my friends want to eat healthier, but we all run into these hurdles, things like budget, time constraints, and really the paralyzing fear of having to clean up after we get done cooking. So the solution that I have for myself, as well as a lot of my friends, is one pan meals. Now, a one pan meal is exactly what it sounds like. You're prepping all your food and putting it in one pan to cook. That's going to reduce the actual cleanup at the end of it all. Done properly, you end up with a budget friendly, really tasty meal at the end of it that really doesn't take much time at all to prep. So I'm going to show you one of my go to meals and break it down for you. Now, the thing to remember with this entire video is based on convenience and balancing it with the healthy side of things. So, when it comes right down to it, I'm going to be using pre-cut, pre-cooked chicken that's in the frozen section, and it's still budget friendly. Now, I personally like cutting onions and cutting my veggies up, but not everybody is into that. So you can also swap these fresh veggies out for frozen ones. Nutritionally, they're the same thing. So as far as portion sizing is concerned, it really varies from person to person, but in general, the way we can easily measure these things is by the size of the palm of your hand. Lean proteins, typically for people who are just looking for general health, we're looking for one palm full of lean protein, whereas somebody who is more athletic and more active is going to need double that. Now, as far as veggies, double it. So a person who is trying to just live healthier, you're looking at 2 palmfuls, and if you're more active, 3 to 4 palmfuls. And those veggies can be colorful or they can be leafy greens. Of course, mind your own dietary restrictions. Now, how we're going to cook this is we're going to cook it all in one pan, and we're going to use a little bit of cooking fat for that. I prefer butter whenever I'm sauteing things, so that's what I'm going to use. Now, it might seem a little bougie, but I like using cast iron because of the heat distribution properties. It actually cooks things a lot more even than a standard aluminum pan. But if that's all you have access to, go for it. We're going to start by setting it to medium-high heat and starting the process of getting it warm. Now we're going to wait until our butter or whatever cooking fat you're using is melted, but not smoking. We don't want to hit the smoking point. So this pan is just about ready. We're starting to see the butter sizzle. We're just going to stir it around just a little bit, make sure that pan is coated. Right about now is when we want to add our veggies. Now, it's all personal preference. You can toss peppers in, onions in, a whole vegetable medley, carrots, celery, whatever you have on hand. Heck, hit the dollar store and just go to town. Now we're going to put these onions on for a little while. We're going to let them saute at medium-high heat until they are golden brown and starting to turn and get a little bit of char on them. Now, one of the tricks whenever I'm sauteing my onions and wanting them to caramelize is I take a half a teaspoon of sugar and just drizzle it on there, and that's going to help speed up that caramelization. It's going to give it a little bit of oomph. I'm just going to stir that around, and once I've added that sugar, I do want to keep them moving so that they don't burn. So we've got just the right amount of browning that we wanted, and we're going to take a 1/4 cup of water, and we're going to deglaze the pan with that. We're going to keep those onions moving, and what that's going to do is that's going to vapor off, and that's going to leave behind a really nice caramelized coating on those onions. It's also helping rehydrate some of them. Look at that color. That is exactly what we wanted. We're going to move that around in the pan just a little bit more, make sure that nothing's sticking. We're going to take that, we're going to take and go ahead and add in our lean protein, and we're going to stir it around a little bit, make sure it's touching the pan. And then what we're going to do is take the other 1/4 cup of water, we're going to take the lid, pour the water in, put the lid on top. Now the steam is doing its job. What we are waiting on is that 3 to 5 minutes for that chicken to cook all the way through. That steam is also helping pump any of those flavors from the veggies that we were cooking right into that chicken. If you want to, you can always check on it real carefully and stir it around just to make sure nothing sticks. Now what I made is a very simple base recipe that I can alter very easily by just changing the seasoning or the sauce that I put with it. You can also change up your meal by adding a side or two. So I hope this makes things a little bit simpler on you. Now y'all have fun in the kitchen.